Today I'm riding through my old stomping grounds, San Jose, home to my alma mater, San Jose State University. It's the oldest public university in California and sits right in the heart of the Silicon Valley. I spent 6 years at SJSU, earning a BS in Business Administration and an MBA, and this place shaped my career in finance, and in many ways shaped my worldview. But as I reminisce on my college days, one question keeps surfacing in my head. How many of us actually got what we paid for? To be clear, I loved graduate school, and both my degrees were in business, a subject I'm very passionate about. So I don't have any regrets about going to college, but when I think back to high school, I remember how college was sold to us. It was presented like a mandatory launch pad. Counselors, especially the ones in low-income districts like the one I attended, acted more like sales reps. They pushed students to take out loans and go out of state for degrees like creative writing, criminology, and psychology, without any real guidance on the financial realities that would follow those decisions. And for a lot of my peers, college didn't turn out to be a launch pad. It turned out to be a trap, an expensive one. So let's start with the obvious. College is expensive. Since 1980, the cost of a 4-year college degree has soared by more than 180%. In-state tuitions for public universities now average around $11,500 a year. For private universities, it's closer to $48,000. And that doesn't include room and board and textbooks or fees. Meanwhile, the average student loan debt per borrower is over $37,000, but many grads are carrying up to 6 figures in debt. According to the Education Data Initiative, 7% of borrowers owe more than $100,000. And here's the key. Many of these borrowers aren't doctors or lawyers. They're teachers, therapists. A lot of them are baristas. So what's all this debt actually buying you? Well, it's not much in terms of income. Since the early 2000s, median earnings for recent college graduates have barely budged, covering around $55,000 a year. Adjusted for inflation, that's stagnant at best and shrinking at worst. Today, over 43 million Americans owe a collective $1.77 trillion in student loans. That's more than all U.S. credit card debt combined. It's more than the GDP of Australia. It's an economic time bomb, and we are already starting to see the fallout. Delayed homeownership, declining birth rates, and an entire generation financially stuck before they've even started. Let's get to the heart of this. Let's talk about ROI, return on investment, because college is supposed to be one. If you study computer science, engineering, nursing, you're probably going to be fine. Those degrees have high demand, high salaries, and strong job placement. According to the Brookings Institute, the median ROI for a computer science degree is over $1.1 million over a lifetime. But let's be honest, other degrees, they're passion projects with a price tag. Studio art, creative writing, gender studies, these can be fulfilling, sure, but the financial return is often devastating. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York reports that nearly 40% of recent grads are working in jobs that don't require a degree at all. A Georgetown University study found that petroleum engineering has the highest median ROI at $4.1 million over a lifetime. Now let's contrast that with early childhood education at $831,000, or dramatic arts, just $432,000. Columbia's Film Masters of Fine Arts program costs up to $181,000, and the median income for graduates is just $30,000, according to the Wall Street Journal. And you know this hurts me to say it, but even with business degrees, there's variance. Finance or accounting can yield some solid returns. Hospitality management or general business, often not so much. What's worse is that schools rarely teach students how to calculate ROI before enrolling. No career coaching, no financial literacy, just vibes and brochures. And then there's the opportunity cost. While you're at school, spending money, going into debt, you're not really in the workforce, gaining skills, earning money, or building a career. That's 4 years, sometimes more, where others may be getting promoted, starting businesses, or developing an expertise. That lost time isn't just about money, it's about momentum. By the time some grads finish school, their peers who went straight into the labor force are already years ahead, and that lag contributes to feelings of stagnation, disillusionment, and economic despair. And it doesn't stop there. Missing out on early work experience, steady pay, and career development puts young adults at a disadvantage in all aspects of life. We see with millennials, marriage, family formation, homeownership, meaningful friendships, and long-term purpose is on the decline. It severs traditional connection to traditional paths of stability and creates a void. Into that void steps ideology. When you're in debt, underemployed, and stuck, ideas that promise revolution, debt forgiveness, or utopia start sounding very attractive. The kind of messaging that encourages people to tear down systems rather than preserve them, because they don't work for them. In other words, the pipeline from debt to despair to disillusion is very real. And here's something else that nobody talks about. Banks and lenders know this. They know which degrees don't pay off. They understand ROI better than anyone. And yet they willingly hand out $80,000 loans to teenagers with no job, no credit history, and no repayment plan because they're not the one on the hook if it goes sideways. Federal student loans are backed by the government. There's no credit check, and student loan debt is nearly impossible to discharge in bankruptcy. That's not lending, that's a trap. It's a system that makes colleges rich, lenders safe, and leaves students holding the bag for decades, if not for a lifetime. The problem is brand illusion. A lot of students aren't even really buying an education, they're more so buying a name. They pick a school not for the program, but for the quote-unquote experience. The dorms, the football team, the merch. Maybe they even go out of state, tripling their tuition just to get away from home and be part of a vibe. According to the Education Data Initiative, the average cost of an out-of-state tuition is about $27,000 a year, compared to $10,500 for in-state. That's $66,000 in extra cost for the same degree. And look, some elite schools do open doors, not going to deny that, but for the vast majority of students, the school name matters way less than you think. Employers today care more about experience, skills, and whether you can actually do the job. Community college for 2 years, then transfer? Still gets you the same diploma, way cheaper, way smarter. Okay, here's the uncomfortable truth. Colleges are businesses, and they are very good at marketing. They sell you a dream of purpose and prestige, but behind the brochures, ballooning administrative costs, luxury gyms, climbing walls, gourmet dining halls, and DEI departments with seven-figure budgets. Between 1975 and 2005, the number of college administrators grew by 85%, compared to just 51 for instructional staff. In 2020, the University of Michigan had more administrators than faculty. So it's no wonder the president of a mid-tier university can make over $1 million a year. Meanwhile, adjunct professors teaching your classes are making less than a Starbucks barista. That's not an education, that's a hustle. And yeah, we've got to talk about the politics. Colleges are supposed to teach you how to think, but increasingly, they're telling you what to think. A recent FIRE survey found that 60% of conservative students self-censor on campus. Nearly one-third of students said they've been pressured to agree with political statements from professors. In many departments, ideological diversity is nearly non-existent, and open debate kind of out of fashion. Instead of learning how to argue, students learn how to self-censor. And here's another stat that's hard to ignore. According to a survey from Econ Journal Watch, over 60% of college professors in the US identify as liberal or far left, while only 12% identify as conservative. In some departments like sociology, anthropology, and literature, the ratio of liberal to conservative professors is 10-1 or higher. When faculty lean overwhelmingly to one side, it's no surprise the curriculum starts to tilt that way too. Add in mandatory DEI trainings, politically loaded course titles, and classroom discussions that assume ideological agreement, and what you get is less education, more indoctrination. The other thing that's quietly been eroding confidence in higher education? You've probably heard about it a lot lately, affirmative action. Now, this is a messy topic, but here's the reality. When admissions decisions seem driven more by identity checkbox than by achievement, people start to question the value of the degree itself. After the Supreme Court struck down race-based admissions in 2023, a lot of Americans were already asking, was merit ever the main criteria? When Harvard was forced to reveal its admissions data during the lawsuit, it showed that Asian American applicants needed significantly higher SAT scores than students of other races to have the same shot at getting in. And that doesn't sit well with people, and the ripple effect is this. When you see someone from a prestigious school, instead of assuming that they were the best and brightest, the thought now crosses your mind, were they selected or were they slotted in to meet a quota? That doesn't just hurt public trust, it hurts the students who did earn it, and it cheapens the brand. And if you're paying $300,000 for a degree from a place whose admission process people no longer trust, that's a problem. Somewhere deep in a university's strategic plan, say on slide 72, you'll find the real motive. Enroll more students, maximize tuition revenue, and expand the brand. Education used to be about transformation. Now it's about transactions. You're not a student, you're a customer. So if you're watching this and contemplating whether college should be your next move, here's the slide 72 insight. College isn't the only path, and for many, it's not even the best one. Don't fall into the trap of thinking it's the only way to get ahead. Trades, apprenticeships, boot camps, certifications, military service, and entrepreneurship offer alternative routes that build real-world skills, faster paydays, and way less debt. The college degree used to symbolize upward mobility. Now, for too many, it's a high-interest ticket to debt, delayed adulthood, and diminished prospects. A gamble that too often leaves students broke, behind, and disillusioned. Be smart, think like an investor, and ask yourself, what am I buying? Is it worth it? And most importantly, what kind of life do I want? And will this path help me build it? Let your decisions be guided by data, not pressure or tradition or salacious marketing. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you got value, please hit the like button and subscribe for more case studies every month.